Если что, канал General. Так, я вижу интермиссию.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is a T-Tree, and I hope you are ready for this totally tubular 2v2 showdown that we've got for you today. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and with me here I have the handsome and talented Araspici on
Так,
co-commentary. How you doing
что
today?
ж, наши игроки сегодня на этом кооп-спидране 2 на 2. То есть это и гонка, но это гонка в кооперативе. С одной стороны, мы видим GeneralAndrews и Dospostmann, и с другой стороны, мы видим Benja 4 и Paul Nice.
It's going to be a good one. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our category here. What do all those words on your screen right now mean? Well, some of them are self-explanatory. We've got two teams of two, and they are co-oping with each other inside each team, but arcade means that they're playing on a mode where, while they have all their moves unlocked, they only have one bar of super to use instead of the three
Да,
that you
надо
might have
быстренько
in
объяснить,
free.
что означает вот эта длиннющая штука. Как я и говорил, это кооп-гонка. Any% означает, когда на самое быстрое прохождение. Аркейд — это режим, в котором у них разблокированы абсолютно все приемы, в отличие от обычного прохождения. И чил — это самая простая, самый простой уровень сложности.
All right, if our teams are ready to go.
Ready. We are good to go.
We've got one set.
Так, первая команда готова. Мы ждем готовность второй команды. Я напоминаю, как и во многих гонках, по традиции, та команда, которая впереди, за той командой будет звук. Так что, если что, не теряйтесь.
All right.
И гонка начнется, как только все будут готовы, и нажмется кнопка «Старт».
We've got our teams locked in. Raphael and Splinter showing from both teams.
Раф и Сплинтер — это классика, оба самых и быстрых, и достаточно эффективных в бою персонажа. 3, 2, 1. И погнали.
Yeah, as you're seeing on both screens, we have these well-crafted, amazing 80s retro throwback episode titles starting off each episode as our players run into jaw-breaking news. You see them already on both screens splitting up the
Как вы видите, они сразу распределяются по экрану, закрывая сразу два спаунпоинта.
quickly as possible.
Ниндзя фудклана. Так, и я напомню, это аркадная версия. Как видите, у нас уже открыты и чардж-атаки, и супер-атаки. Так что таким образом мы можем крайне быстро достаточно много урона нанести вражеским персонажам.
Just a little bit to take those screens out faster. But you see our players working in just amazing harmony. Everyone takes their baddie, and you know, it's one of these games where the faster you clear the enemies that are currently on screen, the faster the game will let you move on to the next screen. So you'll see our players using diving super.
Да, и в этой сложности, между прочим, любой супер, по-моему, сносит буквально каждого фиолетового персонажа. И у них, в зависимости от их цвета, также изменяется их здоровье, как долго их надо бить. Если немного по сюжету, все начинается с того, что Шреддер захватывает студию телевещания, в которую мы объявляемся, и там оказывается фудклан. А для чего они, мы не знаем. Сейчас узнаем.
So we've got both players, both teams using a Splinter. Splinter being kind of the slow but powerful, the Mike Hagar or the Axel of this game. If you put him in the right place and
И
use
все
his
же
moves
каждый раз, когда я смотрю на эту игру, я все равно удивляюсь, насколько хорош спрайтворк в этой игре.
a little bit about why both teams are using a Raphael.
Oh, absolutely. Not only does Raphael have a strong amount of attack power, but his utility is great, and there might be something that you see coming up on this boss that is a little game breaking.
Мы подходим к первому боссу.
Yeah, we're using the first patch of the game, specifically provided to us for the ability to run it today by Tribute Games, the makers of this game, and a lot of other really cool games like Mercenary Kings and Flint Hook. So Raphael has a little extra power, a little extra rudeness in his moveset that he might not have in other versions of the game, but it's something really fun to show off.
All right, and it looks like GeneralAndrews and Dospostmann are just a screen behind as Benja and Paul Knives make it to Bebop. Let's see if they can...
Уже, я смотрю на втором экране, у нас вторая команда уже дошла до первого босса, это Бибап.
Bebop is now out to lunch for the day.
So Raphael's dodge super has a very unique technique where it will actually grapple an enemy and throw them to the ground.
И появляется Рокстеди и забирает голову Крэнга.
Falling animation.
Точнее, робота Крэнга, простите.
Yeah, basically because the third hit of the technique hits them as they're trying to get back up. And the way that technique starts is it makes the enemy stop waiting for the rest of the super to happen. Because of the way those two things interact at the very end, they just don't get a chance.
Пока мы бились, у нас,
Roughly half the bosses in the game, so-
ну, типичные улицы Нью-Йорка на самом-то деле. У нас взяли и просто стырили наши колеса.
PM.
Absolutely nice little shout out to Turtles in Time, Big Apple 3 a.m.
Excellent use of the power pizza showing up for the first time. That puts you in an infinite spin state for a few seconds. And on this
Да, кстати говоря, немного о пауэрапах. Кроме пиц, которые добавляют здоровье или восполняют ее, есть также пицца, которая действует как усиление,
moves a little bit slower than everyone else while eating one of those.
так называемые пауэр-пиццы. Они красного цвета.
And that's a thing you'll see from these runners because they're so experienced. Positioning is going to
Да, в этой игре, кстати говоря, можно парировать прожектайлы.
You'll also notice that they are using a new thing to Shredder's Revenge, where you can hear Raphael laughing quite a bit and Shredder going to a meditative state.
Опять-таки, у нас, так как мы на легком, у нас очень много ресурсов, которые мы можем использовать для быстрой зачистки экранов.
Make the most damage happen across the screens.
Yeah, if you've played this game
Вторая команда уже приближается к Рокстеди.
you may have had players kind of locking you by sitting on the left side of the screen and taunting. And in that case, we apologize, but no, the syncopation that these players have and the synchronicity with which they're getting everything done, including the taunts, you basically wouldn't know they were technically stopping the action at all because they're just ready to go every time a new screen is loaded up. We'll also see one in just a little
Блин,
bit
и я все еще помню, как на сложном мне очень тяжко как-то я бился с этими мотоциклами. Мы только что увидели на втором экране, как еще одну механику в этой игре, которая была добавлена, так называемая медитация. На самом-то деле у каждого персонажа в этой игре есть таунт, и используя этот таунт, вы получаете одну полоску силы, которую вы можете потратить на супер.
Time for a new power up in just a moment here.
А есть еще один.
Yep, we've got Benja picking up.
И это бесконечная. Радужная пицца дает буквально на короткое время неограниченное количество суперов за раз.
Soldiers as they run right into the Bebop or Rocksteady fight.
Yeah, lets you use any of your three supers.
Между прочим, раз уж мы заговорили об аркадной версии, несмотря на то, что у нас все приемы разблокированы, у нас только одна полоска супера.
Also out for the day, although they do have to make sure they clear him down while also taking out the ads in the fight.
Так что использование таунта
Nicely done.
довольно здесь помогает.
From
по-другому уже.
There's
Даже
a
не скажешь.
nice little touch throughout that stage too, if you notice. At the beginning,
Не, у персонажей спешалы и есть отдельные как командники водятся.
and then we got the
Другой, а вот именно их суперы, это уже то, что они расходуют бар.
Season post day, also with a very clean clear. Yep. We're now down to one of our side scrollers, which all have songs with lyrics accompanying them. So while we jam out to some of that,
У каждого персонажа в этой игре есть различные спешалы.
first waves of foot soldiers before they enter the tunnel, now would be an excellent time for some donations.
Certainly can do. How about this $100 from Tribute Games, who says, best of luck to the racers from the Tribute team. Cowabunga.
Спешал коронки.
We got time for at least one more.
All right, we also have $500 from Jake, saying it's a boat time. We have a portal run without all those pesky portals getting in the way. The portal bonus, by the way, at $37,000, working our way up to 80 grand. Let's keep it going, friends.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. But yeah, like I mentioned, this is technically an auto scroller, but it's only auto insofar as like where the waves start. If you can take enemies out faster, you can advance through this stage faster. You can make up 30, 40 seconds if you are right on top of the enemies, as we're seeing from both of our teams here.
Что мы ожидаем, уже подкатила как раз таки джип с Rocksteady Bebop'ом на втором экране.
However, you cannot do damage to it at this point. You just have to play from baseball.
No, unfortunately not. You can hit it as much as you want, but
Здесь есть два момента. Проджектайл, который откидывает Rocksteady и Bebop, можно парировать и откинуть обратно в машину.
Oh, that's a home run right there from Splinter, from GeneralAndrews and Dospostmann.
Но чтобы продвинуться, насколько я помню, надо именно бить саму машину. Сначала выжить, а потом уже как появится полоска здоровья босса, тогда уже бьется машина.
Yeah, really no time lost. It's staying very close. I've been impressed by the synchronicity and the ability to swap up enemies on the fly from both teams. And the other thing to know is, just like classic arcade games, almost every combination of difficulty and players changes up the spawns just a little bit. So our players are just intimately familiar with exactly what they're looking for their run today. So there's just enough different, if you're playing as a solo player, like I typically do, it's a different experience. You'll have some of the same enemies, but some things will come out differently. In addition,
Можно заметить на этом уровне автоскройлеры, они буквально поочередно используют суперы.
You want to talk a little bit about this fight, Petrie?
Sure. The Turtle Tenderizer is, in casual, a very difficult boss, but as I think we'll see shortly here, for players who are familiar with what it does and its patterns, is actually one of the easier bosses in the fight. Because if you manipulate its AI, you can kind of keep it towards the front of the screen, have it swerve around as little as possible. And with tactical use of especially the Splinter special, the highest...
Как проходит именно этот босс-файт, между прочим, надо сказать. Один игрок, который стоит буквально сзади машины, может постоянно бить обычными автоатаками. Тем самым он манипулирует просто передвижение машины. И при этом не дает Rocksteady Bebop что-либо сделать. В то время как другой игрок откидывает свои суперы. У второго экрана это все получилось.
So the zoo is a very fun stage because there is not only the environmental hazards, but this is one of the first examples in this game of some background hazards, I would say.
Да, и, кстати говоря, немного об этом уровне. В зоопарке появляется еще одна особенность уровней этой игры. Иногда в некоторых уровнях на бэкграунде тоже будут не всякие опасности. Нам буквально, наверное, думаю, через минутку вы поймете, о чем идет речь.
A new range of enemies introduced. We've now got the archer foot soldiers, who actually only have a single hit point and are typically really best for actually keeping your ninja power up if you need it. or just trying to clear an extra wave to get the next ones to come in faster. We've also got our hot pink or magenta axe soldiers. They have a higher hit point total, so you'll see our players using those diving supers, which unilaterally across whatever character each player is using do 10 damage. So they are a very reliable clear on almost every enemy type in the game.
Absolutely, especially when we get into the later levels, we'll be seeing almost consistent spam of dive supers.
Hey, you say that, but they do have a relatively narrow...
О, мы наконец-таки дошли до того места, о котором я говорил. Наверное, самое опасное в зоопарке животное — это постоянно обезьяны, которые пытаются его что-то выпросить. Что ж, в этой игре они ничуть не лучше. Они бросаются в вас всяким, и это всякое вас мало то, что дамажит, так еще и станет.
Yeah, Benja and Paul got through without any monkeying around. Those bananas do damage and cause knockback to you or whomever else they hit. So if you're lucky, you can take advantage and put some extra damage down on the foot soldiers.
Однако, к счастью для нас, надо сказать, в этом уровне обезьяны работают на две команды. Они также еще могут закидывать и солдат фу. Такая вот интересная деталь. О, Дербак и Грандчак. Это, по-моему, первый двойной босс-файт этой игры. И, грубо говоря, один таранит, другой копает. То есть, можно так сказать, один это Абобу из Double Dragon, а другой это... Как он правильно назывался из Battletoads, который мог копаться? Примерно то же самое, на самом деле, как и тот крыс, между прочим, из Battletoads, который постоянно прыгал. Просто тот один это копает, тактика примерно та же самая. Так, тем самым мы спускаемся в метро Нью-Йорка. У нас, как видите, чем дальше заходим, тем пожирнее у нас враги становятся. Ooh, they absolutely did on the first one there. You saw those two trains come in consecutively. If you haven't cleared out several enemies on the screen, including the ones that spawn down on the tracks, you won't get that happening. Однако, как я говорил, учитывая то, что мы можем спокойно заряжать таунтом супер, мы можем постоянно смениваться, и это для нас не становится проблемой. Нам больше опасности на самом-то деле представляют враги, которые могут либо летать, либо появляться из-под земли.
And over on Benja and Paul Knives' screen, we have the introduction to everyone's favorite enemies, those cute little Malgers making their first appearance in the game.
Yeah, would you believe that as much as this is based on the 87 series, the Mausers were actually a very minor character asset, between them and Stockman, but they make such a perfect video game enemy that they've come back in virtually every game.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they were only featured in one episode.
I believe that's right, but they're not the only characters or enemies in this game that are background characters, as it were. There are some really deep pulls here, and I appreciate all the lore.
Oh, absolutely. Like, for these games...
Да, говоря про лор, мы уже видели то, что здесь Hatchback and Dirt был. Это из фильмов, между прочим, мультипликационных по черепагам. И следующие боссы это тоже будет и из мультфильмов, и еще и из комиксов тоже.
I'm a kind of a particular player like that. I love like a range of games, and I just kind of like having the stimulation of something new. But this game absolutely spoke to me. The game feel, the way everything flows, the things you can make characters.
Крысиный король.
coming on the
Benha
Rat
Paul
King.
Knight start the Rat King fight, and they get the stun lock.
Yes.
О, они, да, на втором экране сразу
Rat
застаночили.
King does. He is the most difficult stun lock in this patch, but they made it look very easy. You saw Raphael soar through the Rat King, which can absolutely happen if your spacing is just a little bit different and you won't get that stun lock, but no trouble for these two.
Yeah, it is a very difficult setup for it, but yeah, getting that is key too because that fight
Так,
has
теперь
probably
уровень моли.
punishing RNG in the game.
Yeah, it's just down to how the Rat King operates. If you don't get that lock,
И если, на мой взгляд, сейчас будет один из самых бесячих для казуала, для казуала босс будет.
Splinter ult for good measure.
Both teams are doing an excellent job keeping their strats. in
Потому что
order.
если не застаночить вовремя босса, там прохождение босса занимает очень много времени.
As Benha and Paul Knives making their way through the mall, we're going to be seeing these mech enemies.
Whoa, the mall, dude! We've got to go to the arcade. If you play with certain characters on certain levels, you get special lines. That's one of Mikey's for the mall. But yeah, as Zaraspici mentioned, the Mauser mechs, as we call them, are the new enemy for this stage. They actually have a total of 12 HP, meaning they're not dispatched with a single diving super. So our players have to track where they're going to come down by watching the shadow or just keeping out of the way of the falling mech and then dispatch them as quickly as possible. Both teams doing a really excellent job of that. Splinter is probably my favorite.
Надо сказать, первая команда отстает уже примерно на 25 секунд прохождения.
As we saw on Andrew and Posty's stream, they were able to do that both times. The diving special from Splinter, followed up by the rising kick. A very quick dispatch. Benha and Paul onto the second set of mechs for the mall level.
Dude, that was a very, very slick touch there from Benha and Paul Knives, both hitting the dive super simultaneously, and then also.
Говоря об аркаде.
Before the enemies came in range.
And the double jump through the mech fall. I'm not sure I've seen that before. I might have to take that for myself. As they move on to one of the other very, very deep cuts. If you recognize the name on the arcade
Да, это первое появление Шреддера.
you're doing better than I did.
Однако мы не бьемся на этом уровне с Шреддером, мы бьемся с Темпестрой.
To the show where Leonardo is playing a video game, they get struck by lightning and comes to life. This is
Ее фишка в том, что она спавнит боссов из предыдущих уровней, при этом заменяя себя.
you may recognize these two though.
Они, может быть, они и слабее, однако, если не сразу убирать Темпестру быстро, за, по-моему, 4-секундное окно,
Oh wow. Benha and Paul
очень много проблем на прохождении у вас будет.
Yep,
So, in that
Tempestra, much
fight-
like Rat King, uses HP totals to change techniques. So when she
А так,
hits
зная
the
эту
damage,
фишку, на
you
самом-то
see
деле
charge
босс не
up
такой уж и
electricity
сложный.
discharge. And so our players were putting
Теперь,
down
когда они нашли тело робота Крэнга,
their supers and get in for
они сразу забрались на крыше, и теперь уровень на крыше.
GeneralAndrews and Posty handle it as Benha and Paul
Жаль
Knives
только им не в ночное время.
Hey, do we have time for a donation or two?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we got ourselves $20 from Russ saying, enjoying some pizza time with this bodacious race. Go Posty in general. Cowabunga, dudes. P.S. Raph, best turtle. And a $20 donation from Legend Donnelly saying, good luck to both teams. Hoping for an awesome race. Excited to see this amazing game in HEDQ. Cowabunga.
Thank you, everyone. Good to hear from you, Donnelly. Thanks for everything you did making this run possible. And
Первый уровень, где у нас появляются фут-солдаты лучники.
is the best turtle because he's been probably the best choice for most of the games, especially Turtles in Time. And this particular patch, as you've seen, he was undisputedly the best turtle. But I'm gonna have to say that.
Так, мы прибрались уже в сайт-скрольную часть этой карты.
Neither of them is a turtle, but. All right, Benha and Paul are approaching the first Vertical auto scroller, the classic of the beat 'em up genre, the elevator action level.
Мы сразу, кстати говоря, да, по поводу супер пиццы. Лучше действительно подождать, когда заспавнится больше врагов, чтобы использовать свои суперы по максимуму. Учитывая то, что после использования суперы не остаются. То есть не как в обычном прохождении, они не восполняются после супер пиццы, а она становится снова на ноль. Поэтому приходится куда-то прятаться и использовать таунт. Нет, крыса — это мета, как и Раф. Оба персонажа имеют спешл, которые заточены на быстрое прохождение. Третий персонаж, который был бы заточенный на прохождение, это была бы Эйприл. У Эйприл крайне быстрый спешл дайв-кик.
And a character like Splinter is so slow that actually, while most characters want to dash to the other side and attack them from there, Splinter unfortunately can't do that. So he'd better have a super saved up, or he's just gonna end
Я
up
только что себя поймал на мысли. Надо было сказать коронка дайв-кик, не так ли?
Here comes our second duo fight on Paul Knive's screen. Is Bebop and Rocksteady together?
Так, теперь у нас битва с Бибопом и Рокстеди вместе. От других двойных битв он не особо отличается. И как мы видим, опять-таки, у нас есть возможность застанвочить иногда боссов. У Рокстеди просто на несколько секунд получал неудовольствие от своей жизни. Видимо, Раф прописал ему жареных гвоздей. Я извиняюсь за эту шутку, ну ладно. Еще один сайд-скроллер уровень. Уже на черепашьих ховербордах.
You sure can. We have $50 from Zyrak saying, "Yo, turtle friends, sad not to be racing with you, but good luck showing
О, они уже отстают на целых 35 секунд.
and repping the turtles community. Cowabunga. We also have
Уже, я бы сказал, даже на
$25
40 секунд.
and Axagor. There we go. Saying cowabunga to my
В этот раз, между прочим, на первом скрине они застаночили обоих.
Awesome. Love to hear from the devs.
All right. And if you notice on GeneralAndrews and Pote's screen, they managed to get the stun lock on Bebop that time as opposed to Rocksteady.
Да, они отстают уже на целую минуту. Я думаю, там еще хуже. Так, тут теперь просто доджить надо.
And one thing you'll see on Benja and Paul Knive's screen as these missiles are coming through, a lot of the environmental hazards that come at you in this game can actually be dodged with good positioning on the screen.
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to a matter of personal taste. We're not really certain if leaving the pizzas to travel all the way across the screen is slower. I say it feels slower, but we haven't done the frame by frame to check.
Опять-таки, да, мы станоком покрываем сразу спаунпоинты. Да, только что у нас Paul Knives показал на Сплинтере очень важную вещь. Точнее, у суперов есть, если я правильно помню, 30-кадровый инвул на стартапе, что означает, мы буквально целых полсекунды имеем неуязвимость. Таким образом, мы можем доджить и проджектайлы, и даже удары боссов и других мобов.
Love the entire TMNT franchise. It's so good to see Shredder's revenge during this event.
Тут довольно щедрый инвул на супере, надо сказать.
All right, as Benja and Paul Knives are making their way into the next fight, one thing that Tribute did, not only have they wrapped up good nostalgia for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they've also put references to other games.
О, еще один комиксный персонаж, который появляется. Вингнат.
Storm Wingle, because of a attack he may or may not use depending on how the runners handle this.
Oh,
And
there he
he'll do
goes.
it.
Yeah, it's time for the Storm Eagle phase. This is not what you hope to see here, as the Wingnut becomes, well, not entirely untargetable, but he'll definitely give you the slip during that phase.
Кстати, по поводу станлоков. Станлочить тех персонажей, которые в автоскролл уровнях, намного сложнее.
I want to point out
Потому что
something
их
about this game.
игра рассчитывает их позиции постоянно
We're kind of taking a
относительно
call
уровня.
is the way that on this patch in particular, enemy spawn-ins to the game changed.
Так, теперь мы на
And they're
пляже.
basically on screen or spawned in as soon as they are ready to be used. So if you know where they're located behind the blimps, you can actually defeat them before they drop down onto the screen. And we just saw Andrews and Posty do that with blimps 2 and 3, which should give them a little time back.
Also, everyone's favorite environmental hazard making its way back here on the boardwalk on Benja and Paul Knives screen, the loose floorboards.
Да, еще одних опасностях уровня. Теперь возвращаются самые нелюбимые и самые не очень приятные опасности. Появляются доски в полу, которые потом превращаются в дырки в полу.
Did not see the Storm Eagle phase, so they might catch up a little more time here. They can stay pinned to the right side of the screen and burn Wingnut down. We got time for one donation if you've got one, Shadow.
I certainly do. We got ourselves $200 from Space Coast Gaming, saying, "Good luck, guys. General and Post, you guys are an inspiration for all co-op runners. Let's kick some shell and cancer. Put this to runner's choice, which at the moment, friends, is that portal bonus run with
А ведь не все равно. Я смотрю на игру, и тут так много разных именно анимаций для разных ситуаций.
before later this evening, so keep making those donations.
Они все-таки ниндзя, они должны сливаться с окрестностью, но чтобы вживаться в роль. Даже вот такие вот маленькие детали, но все равно мне они нравятся.
Knives do an absolutely fantastic job. We've seen a new enemy type here, the Blackfoot Soldier, also known as the Psy Soldier. If you hit and don't defeat or knock them up into the air, they'll hop back at an angle that
Так,
your
тут
character
уже мини-игра.
is dealing with, and will throw out a fan of size. So you absolutely want to take them down with a super, with a charged hit, something that means that you don't have to deal with that. And Team Sudamericano has been doing a fantastic job making sure they don't get away.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you played this game casually, you know they are an absolute nightmare to deal with, because sometimes they'll just jump off screen and disappear for like 30 seconds. As Benja and Paul Knives
О, Смайлз.
to Leatherhead.
Фу, Leatherhead, простите.
They got to get their spacing just right, but they've got
Oh
it.
my goodness. Fantastic works.
Я вспомнил Donkey Kong Country, извиняюсь.
Defeated him before the barrel even came in. I like to see a good barrel kill, but that was something else. Andrews and Posty doing a good job with those supers, taking out these Psy Soldiers as quickly as they can. Just a few hits here and there. They are keeping good pace, making sure to clear out the fleas that come across the screen so they can get every next screen coming up sooner. A fun note about this screen that Benja and Paul are on, those motorcyclists and a few later are actually some of the only completely optional enemies in the game. If you let them drive on through, you don't have to worry about them. We see that they had the game knowledge to know that that was the case.
Рассказать то, что в легкой версии на самом деле можно просто мотоциклистов
Right? I mean, they're not evil, they're just programmed that way.
заевейдить.
Yeah, exactly.
С ними не нужно входить в контакт.
That's getting a little existentialist. Maybe it's not time for an ethics debate. How about time for a donation?
Sure thing. We got ourselves $25 from Crunch Prank, saying, "Donating on behalf of me and my older brother. The TMNT franchise defined our youth throughout the 90s. I was Donatello and he was Michelangelo. Good luck, runners."
Thank you so much. All right, time for another new enemy type you're seeing on Benja and Paul's screen. That big Mauser has the 10 health, so a little bit less, just enough to be dive superable, but does drop 2 extra Mausers when defeated, so the players have to keep an eye.
Так, мы дошли, между прочим, до этой дорожки.
If it gets away from you, if it bounces when you hit it with the dive super, you need to readjust quickly to make sure that you can defeat those extra minions.
Здесь они также по краям будут появляться, и также роботы будут выпрыгивать из полок. То есть один должен покрывать стену сверху, другой должен покрывать противоположную дорожку, на которой спавнятся солдаты.
Meanwhile, Benja and Paul moving out to the front of the house in the 1980s or early 1990s retro department store. So if anybody needs some CRTs, I think we know a place.
Yeah, they're on clearance right now, if you notice from the sign.
Excellent. I love a good sale.
Absolutely. One thing to note about those big Mausers as well, you want to make sure you're getting them taken care of quickly, because...
О, интересно, я совсем забыл, вот эти падающие ракеты можно задоджить. То есть есть отдельная кнопка доджа, ну, это тот же самый ролл, который дает, между прочим, full on на всю анимацию.
Now, technically, the very hardest stun lock in the game is this one, but I don't think our players are planning on doing it, because if you mess it up and it's just a few frame window, your run is...
Metalhead.
Oh no! Oh, Benja! Oh! Look at that!
Metalhead можно спокойно застаночить. А все остальное это уже button mash. Это, между прочим, по-моему, самый простой босс, на которого можно поймать станлок.
Color me impressed. I have not seen that pulled off successfully before. So what better place and what better time than now here at GDQ?
It's true. I don't think that's ever happened before during a Marathon Runner Shredder's Revenge.
As Benja and Paul Knives make their way into the museum, we're about to see another...
Так, теперь уровень в музее.
That, of course, are these very friendly Triceratons.
Да.
Yeah, the Triceratons have all the
Вообще, это будет уровень на тематику еще доисторических животных.
Basically instant auto attack once they're like fully capable, once they finish running in on screen. If you jump in on them and they feel like hitting you, they'll just swing those horns on their head forward and you will take damage and get knocked away. It is just that quick. And then we have our green Triceratons, which use front-facing shields once they get the chance to set up, and then fire...
Да, немного снова о цветах. Различные цвета трицератопсов на этом уровне также показывает, какое оружие они будут использовать. Оранжевых их нет, но они идут в лоб. Зеленые при этом, они все равно к вам подойдут, но они будут сначала вас пытаться развести на щиты. И только потом, если вы попадете на щиты, они будут контратаковать вас. Однако они не могут заблокировать ударов сверху, так что дайв-кики прямо прописаны по ним. Также у некоторых из них будут еще стрелять из плазм пушек.
I mean, Michelangelo is like the bard of the group for this game. He's just a little underpowered compared to everybody else, but people love to see him in a co-op run.
Первый экран уже опаздывает где-то на 2 минуты.
As we see Benja and Paul Knives hitting these enemies and sending them back to either in time or out to the technical room.
Кстати, да, можно было сейчас заметить, суперы бывают двух видов. Наземные, это вот как раз-таки, когда Раф курсился, к примеру, и воздушные, когда Раф атаковал сверху, и еще это получается чардж суперы. Это когда Раф берет разгон, и вокруг него появляется огонь. И это у каждого чара есть по 3 таких супера.
if you don't get that stun lock, because he can send waves and waves of Triceratons at you, and some of them stay on screen and just can make the fight really messy. So good on Benja and Paul Knives for being able to pull that off.
Yeah, the movement and the execution is so clean here. They look like they've opened up about a 1-level advantage, but the levels only get more difficult from here, and every little mistake or misplacement can cause plenty of time. So not nearly over yet. Not all over until the pizza's eaten. As we watch them disable that electric generator, there are a couple of places on the floor.
Так, второй у нас получается экран дошел до следующего уровня уже.
Very smart of them to get that taken care of before they proceed.
Если я правильно помню, это уже у нас фабрика железяк Кренга.
Aggressive by the runners. Even if things start getting a little out of hand, they have so many backup strategies in their pocket to be able to handle these things.
Однако, опять-таки, они играют довольно сейвово,
Yeah, there's an extent to which
уже придерживаясь тактики.
what order is like that's the skill you grind out in terms of, you know, knowing what to do and the muscle memory for execution, but being a good improviser, especially in a co-op run.
Кстати говоря, на эти вентиляторы на полу это не просто декорация, это еще и опасность.
or good team
Туда не стоит вставать.
we are absolutely seeing that here. These are both
И это не единственная, по-моему, опасность на этом уровне, которая будет на полу.
my favorite enemy.
Также есть вот эти взрывающиеся бочки, куда же без них.
Shoot lasers. They probably have a real name, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so much fun, those enemies, because you cannot kill them unless they're knocked over. You can only knock them over with a attack that does 2 more damage.
Мне нравится фабрика покраски солдата Фуд на фоне.
And if you don't hit them fast enough, they just go right back underground and just pop up anywhere.
Yep, and as we'll
Okay.
see later on, certain environmental effects can like knock them aside, but then they'll get back up, and you can't knock them over until they get back up on their own. Yeah, we're seeing players queue up exactly.
И об еще одних опасностях этого уровня мы видим еще электрические лучи. Это не единственный уровень, где они еще у нас будут видны.
Back to Dimension X, our team in the lab, keeping those supers on point to tear through the laser disc just as quick as they can, because they know exactly where and in what order they'll drop.
Момента.
Both teams on a boss right now. We've got Zorax locked up on Andrews and Posty's side. And my favorite cute little boy, Baxter Stockman. You know, I think it's just the combination of the bow tie and the fact that he doesn't have the flesh-colored gun this time that makes him less creepy to me.
Right? It's our boy, Baxter Stockman! So in this fight, Baxter has a very specific pattern he goes by. He will fly across the screen, and if he's able to fly across the screen 4 times, he goes into his desperation attack, which makes him vulnerable for a time. But he can't be stunned with supers, as we are seeing Paul Knives at Benja making quick work of him, not even allowing him to do anything.
No, that was a clinic in keeping his AI contained. They knew exactly when he was planning on doing a new move. They
Да,
were
кстати
gonna-
говоря, мы наконец-таки видим то, что
Muscle boy.
Unfortunately, at this point, the story that's been going on in the background is Bebop, Rocksteady, everyone's been working together to recover the pieces of Krang, and he has now been fully powered up by the power of Baxter Stockman and the Tempestra arcade machine. So it's time for our runners to head to Dimension X themselves in the ruins of the Technodrome.
Second favorite song.
Так, теперь руины технодрома. Мы здесь увидим не только фуд-солдатов, но уже и инопланетную живность.
It feels like it goes in an instant. As we see these stone soldiers come in, another new enemy.
Before we get into them, how about time for about 2 donations?
2 donations can do. We got ourselves $25 from DY saying radical.
Я только что увидел то, что руины технодрома имеют некоторые отсылки еще к Battletoads. С этими турелями на длинных палках.
Oh,
All right.
I like it. Very good. But yeah, as Aerospeci mentioned, the stone soldiers are the Triceratons, but meaner. If they start charging at you, if that's the attack they decide to do, and it's the only attack.
Так, первый скрин еще даже до босса не дошел.
Stone soldiers have, they cannot be stopped unless they are defeated or they reach wherever they're running to. So when it was mentioned earlier that there'd be parts where the dive supers might be spammed more often, I think this is the part of the run that was in mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Так, немного об особенностях врагов в этом уровне. Мы впервые видим солдатов в оранжевой форме. И солдаты в оранжевой форме не могут быть остановленными. Что это означает? Они все еще подвергаются станлокам от ударов, но при этом они будут все равно, их приоритет это на вас нападать. Также кидать вот такие вот бомбы. Черные солдаты фут будут всегда иметь какое-то оружие. Либо это будет меч, либо это будет саи. Это как раз такие вот штыковые клинки, которые как у Рафа. Теперь генерал трак, однако генерал трак это мид-босс.
Basically no trouble for our runners. They knew where they were going to show up and they were ready.
All right, as Posey and Jen make their way into the Stockman fight to see how they.
Кстати, надо сказать, второй экран до сих пор не подбирал еще пицца-птичек. Ни разу еще.
There are 5 or 6 different speeds of super. You may notice that the two characters take slightly shorter or longer. Raphael actually having the very fastest super in the game, which is part of what makes him so cool but rude. And Splinter having one of the slower ones, so they really have to pace that out between them to keep enemies locked.
Я помню точно то, что первый экран подбирал уже несколько раз. А как бы вторые еще не боятся-то играть без них. Ну, они подбирали, но они... стоп. Нет, они подбирали на первом уровне 100%. Ну, и тогда уж извиняюсь. Тогда уж я не досмотрю. Супер Шреддер, не. У нас есть Супер Шреддер дома. И Супер Шреддер дома. Это Хром дом.
Doing a good job of keeping the deck clean, such as it were, being ready to get that second set of throws and finish him off as easy as you please.
Oh yeah, just a beautiful 2-cycle there. There's no even question that they were going to get it. As they head into episode 14, we might have time for 1 or 2 donations, because a quick side scroller here at the beginning of the stage.
Sure thing. We got Sparrow the Spider donating $50 with a haiku. Holes in space and time, blue and orange they shimmer. Airboats are faster. We are trying to raise, folks, enough money to get to that portal bonus run. Here we need to get to $80,000. We're currently at $38,000. Keep those donations rolling in. Like this $25.
Так, там есть небольшой прогресс по инцентиву бонус игры Portal. Я напомню, там будет airball %, то есть только с использованием лодки и без использования порталов. И собрано уже $38 тысяч из необходимых 80. Нет, Вандали, это только второй день. Марафон идет до 15 числа.
Speaking of pizza, another new enemy coming up on Benja and Paul Knives screens. The horrifying pizza monsters coming up from under the ground.
Honestly, the biggest horror they can bestow upon your run is what we're not seeing here from Benja and Knives is that
кстати говоря, да, пицца-монстры. В этой игре есть пицца-монстры. Они прыгают от вас из песка.
To make sure that you don't miss one of them, because if they don't hit you and you don't hit them, they'll dive right back under the ground, and then you have to wait for them to come up again. Yeah, here's our desync. 1, 2, 3, and 4 separately, but a really good job of picking up the last couple. Only one of them got away. Nicely done.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful work. Also, Did you see that silhouette in the background creeping? I wonder what that could have been.
I didn't see anything. Weird.
Might have just been my imagination.
That could be. Certainly there's no unwelcome surprises waiting for us.
So, of course not.
Так, да, надо заметить, как сильно меняется, между прочим, атмосфера игры.
In good time clearing the last couple of screens before they themselves take on Chrome Dome. Benja and Paul Knives doing a good job staying out of the molten tomato sauce. You find yourself in that, it can be a bad time, especially on this patch. I found that if you happen to be doing a charge attack or anything else that grants you a super armor state and you're
Первая команда только-только дошла до Chrome Дома, в то время как вторая команда уже почти доходит до босса следующего уровня.
Also, we did not see it in Benja and Paul Knives screen, but that little shredder had the
Они уже дошли.
screen there is a nice little reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Ah, yes,
hit
the
that
golden
then.
idol, such as it were.
Yes. And everyone's most disliked boss from Turtles in Time, Slash making an appearance.
Так,
here.
из-за того, я, по-моему, насколько помню, Слэша довольно сложно застанвочить в анимациях,
So you can really just go to town.
потому что почти все его анимации имеют армор.
You work around his patterns, you can take him down in no time flat.
Yes, definitely a far cry from the difficulty in
У нас второй экран буквально отстает на целый уровень.
Runners, Benja and Paul Knives make it to the penultimate stage.
It's separated by exactly one level here. Let's see how it goes over the course of the last stage and change.
And this is going to be the last, like, full-on stage. So you're going to see a ridiculous combination of enemies. Basically, Shredder is throwing the entire kitchen sink of the Foot Clan right at you.
Yeah, I consider this basically your final exam. You see every enemy type, almost every situation of enemies and combinations you've seen before, and a few new ones.
Да, насчет этого уровня. Этот уровень является, грубо говоря, контрольный перед самыми последними боссами этой игры. И именно в этом уровне появляется буквально каждый вид противников, которые вы бились против в течение всей игры. Каждый цвет, каждый моб. Да, и еще также никуда не деться от опасностей, которые вас ожидают на полу.
We also have $25 from King TDN saying, let's get a Cowabunga donation train going. Cowabunga. And $50 from Mr. Funkmaster saying the cake is alive, but the bonus game doesn't have to be. Let's go, GDQ. Speaking of which, we're still working our way up towards that $80,000 goal for that Portal bonus run. Airboat %. Let's keep seeing those donations come in for that game.
Yeah, and donations that come in during this block are also can get you into the running, be entered for a wealth of prizes, including that pixel perfect standing animation Donatello Perler from Pixel.
Надо же, они собрали Крынга.
Illustration that just looks totally amazing. I might have to get a donation in myself as soon as I can.
True enough, and that's $5, by the way, for the illustration, and $10 or more for the Donatello Perler.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Второй экран у нас уже почти доходит до босса, между прочим.
Knowing exactly where to stand and where to position.
Второй экран проходит игру очень быстро.
Yep, the last pizza monsters of the game. And yeah, the thing with this level in particular, you probably didn't see it because they did such a capable
Интересно.
job, but the vertical scrolling can change like when enemies come in on screen, where you stand, how they move relative to you. But these runners know exactly what they're doing. Just a few more screens left
Так,
until the next
интересно,
round.
если что,
Good pace with each other.
чил, аркейд.
Absolutely.
Мировой рекорд в этой категории 59 минут.
More donation before each of these bosses.
Я чувствую то, что у нас возможен мировой рекорд.
Boat donated $25 saying, I love TMNT. It was a blast being able to play this game with friends when it came out. Maybe you want to say, go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja.
Потому что, насколько я помню, у них после этого уровня будет еще пару-тройку всего лишь.
Word to your mother, as Vanilla Ice would say.
Absolutely. Wow, here he is, the ultimate Krang.
А вот и Крэнг.
So this is an interesting fight because this is one thing for this patch specifically that there is going to be a difference between our two teams. If you'd like to explain that a little bit.
It's possible. Yeah, we'll see how when Krang goes into this state that we call Krangy.
Oh.
I think actually our players are playing.
Крэнгиф. Рассказываю то, что в этом патче изменили немного тактику поведения Крэнга.
Up until the most recent.
И в зависимости от того, как часто у нас андроид Крэнга будет делать красный циклон Зангиева,
Prize for you.
тем быстрее мы можем на самом-то деле пройти этого босса. И, кстати говоря, у нас появляется Шреддер.
Doing a Sigma
И это второй босс.
Yeah, the flying crossbody from the top rope.
Я честно слово, когда я первый раз играл в эту игру, я не ожидал то, что мы услышим на фоне
Recognize some of the voices in this.
еще членов группировки Вутан Клан. То есть они буквально запихнули Вутан Клан в игру по черепагам.
During which
Это как так вообще?
and hitting him will cause him to discharge that electricity. Unfortunately, he was able to get away and
Да, Шреддер душный, между прочим. По-моему, вот Шреддер первый сложнее, чем Супер Шреддер.
down the real one and putting an end to the shredder. Right?
Yeah, busting
An
out
end
a
to the
little
shredder?
Kagi no Bushin.
Ah, dang it. There he goes.
I never was able to get that smoke bomb technique down. Always tried to do it as a kid.
Да, Ярость Леди теперь. Осталось буквально 2 уровня.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, but please rise for the Foot Clan national anthem.
Who would have thought we'd be fighting the statue of tyranny?
Fighting the end of Ghostbusters 2, such as it were.
Yes, exactly.
Небольшие колбеки к охотникам за привидениями 2.
Aggressively and cycling.
Последний босс — это статуя свободы.
They know the exact pixel on the ground in the front of the boss to stand so that that shockwave attack goes out in front of them, and they just move themselves around perfectly to avoid the visor blast and the other moves.
Так,
that
теперь
it has
остался
available
только
to it
Супер
to
Шреддер.
take it down in no time at all. And now, Big Apple, 3 a.m.
Вау, они и вправду идут на VR. Какого черта?
Here he goes with the ooze.
It's Kevin Nash.
Это Кевин Нэш. Это Кевин Нэш. Ай. Да-да.
So our players will be
Ну, Супер Шреддер, на самом-то деле, все, что здесь нужно, это просто запомнить паттерны. И паттерны Супер Шреддера намного более мы читаемые, чем первого Шреддера.
trying to stay as close as they can so that as soon as his mutagen power overloads and he becomes vulnerable, then they can just run
И как раз-таки, когда он перегружается своей энергией мутагена, его можно заспамить суперами.
Yeah, very much like Chrome Dome, you have to wait for a specific time, and depending on how you move relative to him, it influences.
Здесь как раз-таки это можно понять, как только закончатся его паттерны.
sets of dashes before he becomes vulnerable again.
И можно сразу разряжать. Добиваем. И после этого сразу становимся в таунт. Сразу получаем обратно бар.
Benja and Paul Knives.
Ждем следующие возможности. И это все. 56-18. По-моему, это... Да, это, по-моему, вар. Да, на 3 минуты. 59 минут 25 секунд у нас на данный момент рекорд,
A surprise of their
который
own.
держал Galaxy Dave и T3.
Why don't you give us a quick 2 donations, Shadow Temple?
Sure thing.
Надо же.
$10 from T-Rex Ranger saying TMNT means turtle puns. What do you get when you cross a turtle with a porcupine? A slowpoke. And $1,000 from Cave Johnson saying, Cave Johnson,
Слушай, мои поздравления.
told me about your whole speedrunning thing, and I gotta say, great thinking. All the nerds in R&D are hourly, so this is driving our overhead straight into the ground. Don't write off the boat, though. That's a personal expense.
Wait,
Сложность чил. Самая простая сложность.
that was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
No
Thank
comment.
you so much for the $1,000 donation. Such kind generosity.
All right, and as Andrews and Posty move on to the final boss rush, I believe Chad has noticed something, and I went to double check it myself. But I think Benja and Paul Knives just set a new world record for the category. That is
Wow.
extremely radical.
Да, кстати говоря, у нас есть подтверждение, это действительно мировой рекорд.
Yeah, as we finish up the run here, I want to take an opportunity to
Игла. Игра недавно только получила, между прочим, патч, буквально в декабре.
It is a friend to many of the runners here, and they in return the 8-bit dojo. To all of the runners involved with the run today, GeneralAndrews, Dospostmann, Benja, and Paul Knives. The
Так что игра, как ни странно, она все еще обновляется.
who are interested in running any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, everything from the original arcade game to the first home game to the GBA games. There are friends and fans willing to help you learn any of these games. If you want to learn Shredder's Revenge, there are rather a lot of us who are, who helped make the run what it is today. Croonan and 4 and 6, particularly with regards to stun locks, they figured out the techniques there for the bosses. Greenalink with his videos, especially the ones for the damage values that really helped players wrap their heads around how each character plays. Some of the early runners, the people who figured out that the sub-hour barrier was possible, including Pikachu, Falsbu, Retro Raye, Luna Valkyr, and also, I guess, me. I am a solo world record holder for Splinter on the normal difficulty. And, of course, 2 tribute games for making this fantastic labor of love. This is my first speed game, and it is an honor.
Ну, бывали случаи, между прочим. По поводу ВРов на АГДК, некоторые едут с целью как раз-таки ставить их.
I have been so honored to be here.
При мне лично, я точно помню то, что при мне ставили 3 ВРа.
I love so much.
Один это был по какому-то Кайзо Марио, другой это был... какого... Это был Paradise, он играл Titanfall 2, причем он с очень красивые цифры поставил в VR. 1.23.45. Это было прохождение кампании.
Cheers to GeneralAndrews and Dospostmann, who have definitely a
Ну,
respectable
собственно,
time
это и
to
третий.
run.
Oh, yeah, just over the hour barrier. The hour barrier.
Оу, я вспомнил еще один, между прочим. Baldur's Gate первый проходили на VR тоже.
There who can make it happen, but yeah, I can confirm that pursuant to the leaderboards being figured out for previous patch versus current patch, but very much at least on the previous patches, that run from Benja and Paul Knives is a world.
Причем я помню, между прочим, реакцию раннера. Он такой, оу, мировой рекорд. Надо же.
Yeah, with shout outs out of the way, if there's anything else you want to say, RSPG, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will just thank everyone for watching Awesome Games Done Quick Online 2023 and hope that you stick around for more fantastic speedruns.
Absolutely. Just in closing, once again, thank you all so much for watching and all of your support throughout this week. Hope you continue to have an awesome time, and I hope it's totally tubular.